Out siya. Out.
Chairman, you're on mute. Yeah, naka-unmute na po kayo. You can proceed with your presentation po.
Hindi marinig. Salita na yata siya, di ba?
Meron naman. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start.
Chairman, wala pa rin po. Are you trying to do a share screen? Yan, yan. Hindi.
yung volume test.
Chairman, you can go ahead po.
Yes, good morning, Your Honors. Can I be heard, there, Your Honor?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. You can proceed with your presentation.
Okay. Good morning, Your Honors. I have here my team together with Commissioner Tess Doral and the directors of GCG and their staff. This is the presentation of GCG for its budget. Okay, this is the mandate of GCG, and it's clear that we are here to promote financial viability and fiscal discipline in GOCCs. This is our mandate. We are under the office of the president, and we have in control the GOCC boards, the management, and our employees and the stakeholders, general public. Primarily, our mandate is to rationalize the numbers and function of GOCCs, shortlisting of candidates, performance monitoring and evaluation, and standard of compensation, incentive, and benefits. This is our citizens charter. We have here the 5 as to our mandate. We are citizen-centered, mainly for development and participatory governance. Okay. As of now, we have 118 GOCCs. We have approved for abolition 30, approved for privatization 25, privatization 3, and classified as inactive on an operation 25. Okay. The reasons for abolition is under our charter, primarily to those enabled to produce the desired financial result and their mandates, those with duplicative function and non-operational. These are the approved GOCCs for abolition since 2012. The number for approved for privatization, the declared non-operational or inactive. Okay, the cost benefits for our action to abolish as of now is 3.21 billion. And aside from these benefits, we remove overlapping functions and those that does not produce desired outcomes.
Start video.
Huh? Okay, can we request for a pause because we have a problem as to the audio? Your
Wala malapit sila kamu judge kung ginawa nga.
Chairman, nawala po yung PowerPoint ho ninyo.
Okay, okay.
I cannot see it anymore.
We will share that again, Your Honor. We'll checking back our. Again, we already done the checking, Your Honor, of our audio. Go back to the GCG accomplishment, Your Honor. When the first Bayanihan law was enacted, the GCG issued Memorandum Circular 2020-04. Primarily, that circular directed to GOCCs to conduct reassessment of their operation, primarily the projects, activities, and programs for discontinuation and amount to be generated from counting of unutilized and unreleased balances for special purpose fund, accounting of cash funds, investment, unutilized and unreleased subsidies, program and initiatives and action, and other form of contribution that aim to fight and mitigate the impact of COVID. The GCG also issued additional guidelines how to conduct the customer satisfaction survey, considering face-to-face is not longer feasible. The GCG also returned to the DBM the amount of 31 million pursuant to National Budget Circular 580. GCG also enforced interim measures as to its operation to guide our employees and our mandate to our stakeholders. And also the GCG have alternative work arrangement. As of now, we are fully functioning because we have a robust IT system with VPN connection to our employees working from home. As to our general commitment to the Philippine Development Plan, GGCG reviewed mandates of 52% of GOCCs in terms of their competitive neutrality. Okay, and of those reviewed and for 2018, none were determined to be exhibiting dominance in their markets or significantly impact fair competition. The GCG is in constant with the technical working group, the Philippine Development Plan, together with the PCC, NEDA, and the DTI. For our customer satisfaction survey, the GCG validated 74 GOCCs who implemented the standard methodology in 2019. Out of the 97% compliant GOCCs, achieved a minimum target of 80% satisfied customers. We have a feedback system with civic participation, and the GCG will strive this project so that we could continually improve the services not only for GCG and including the GOCCs under our regulation. For the revised composition and classification system for GOCCs, we procured Willis Towers Watson, and that program or project is composed of two mandates. That is, first, for the SSL5, we done that study with Towers Watson. It's now implemented for all of national government agencies. And for the GOCCs, currently we are making refinements. And hopefully we'll be submitting this month for the GCG and Bank for the approval, for the review and finalization of the CPCS. As to the CPCS updates, as of now, there are 3 GOCCs with incomplete submissions. And primarily, these CPCS, we are constrained also with the pandemic because of the interaction with GOCCs with request respect to the submission. So 3 GOCCs without submission. As to the CPCS profile, as to the cost and benefits data, 1 GOCC is still without submission, the SHAPC. For the job evaluation, 11 GOCCs with incomplete submission, and 5 GOCCs without submissions. It's all in the PowerPoint presentation. We can share this data. Okay, of the SSL of 2019 implementation of GOCCs, we submitted primarily for when we have an interim measure for CPCS under EO 36. Out of 84 operational GOCCs, 62 have adopted the SSL4. And in that regard, when the SSL5 was discussed in Congress and the Senate, we made proposal to the Senate for automatic application SSL5. Right? Unfortunately, this was not favorably granted. And in fact, we also communicated with the Office of the President. And as of now, we are waiting for our discussion with OP whether we will implement also SSL5 to add the 62 GOCCs implementing the SSL4. For our other awards granted to GCG, and in 2018, the GCG is awarded with Standing Accounting Office Award, and this award primarily is the criteria of accuracy, timeliness, reliability, and compliance of accounting rules and regulations set by the Committee on Awards. The AGAP, which granted this award, recognizes exemplary accounting offices and promotes programs towards maintaining high professional and ethical standards. Okay, for our audit rating from COA, since 2013, GCG has been given an unqualified opinion with respect to the consistency in presenting financial statement following the general accepted accounting principles and public sector accounting standards. The GCG also commended by the COA for its good procurement planning that brought an effective, efficient, economic advantage in the discharge of its financial and operational functions of the agency. Okay. Last year, the GCG, in partnership with the OECD, gathered around 120 policymakers and practitioners, experts from Asia, to have common challenges related to state-owned ownership and governance. So attended by 20 countries, and it was supported by the Korean Institute of Public Finance and the Asian Development Bank. This was done in Manila Pen last year, October, September. With respect to GCG action in relation to issues in PhilHealth, as the PhilHealth continues to address fraud and corruption-related issues investigation, we are conducting periodic study, examination, evaluation, and assessment and performance. And in fact, as of now, we are waiting for the order from the Office of the President in relation to the findings of the DOJ, and waiting for that recommendation from the Office of the President. I have ordered my team and created an ad hoc committee to fully address the issues relating to PhilHealth. And primarily the issues of PhilHealth is the efficiency of the organization, their streamlining of their OSSP or the organization structure and staffing pattern. And in fact, we are coordinated and collaborate with civil service, the COA, the NBI, the Insurance Commission, the DICT, and the DAP regarding this matter. As to the GCG ongoing programs, okay, the adoption of QMS, GCG has instituted the adoption of QMS. In fact, we already been recertified by the PUB for ISO 901-2011 last August. Okay, this is the QMS primarily is for good governance conditions and to target our best and verified by the ISO certification of the GOCC. And for our continuing mandate to ICRS, this is part of the law. In 2019, the GCG relaunched an enhanced version, the ICRS and web portal. I suppose other agencies or other stakeholders can access the data. And also, we're continuing its enhancement for further it can satisfy all our stakeholders. Can ask for 1 minute break for technical problem.
What happened, sir? While you're fixing your technical issues, we recognize the presence of Senator Binay.
Can we continue, Your Honor?
Yes, you may continue, sir.
For the ICRS, we have also there the non-financial information, GOCCs. In fact, we have now, for the next compliance period, we have compliance period for GOCCs to submit and update their data. And this also, the ICRS monitoring system is compliant with the required commission and audit for GOCCs classified as government business entities, non-GBS. For the GOCC contribution to Bayanihan as one act, pursuant to the memorandum order of the Executive Secretary, GCG issued as I mentioned earlier, GCG Circular 2020-04 contribution by GOCC sector to the Bayanihan Hill as Act 1. In compliance with the memorandum accomplishment of the GOCCs as of July 2020 are as follows. Okay. We have here the GOCC contribution as to the financial side. It's flashed on the screen, and we could share this data to the Senate. These are the dividends remitted. We have also other monetary assistance and other funds remitted to the national government with respect to the savings as to the non-continuance of their programs, activities, and projects. The GOCC also provided substantial contributions such as implementation of the minimum 30 days grace period for payment of loans and amortization, reduce guarantee fee and increase coverage to farmers, provide credit guarantee to SMEs, provided emergency subsidy or cash assistance to some low-income household farmers, ensured continuous access or no disruption to operation, conducted free educational webinars to stakeholders, conducted relief operation, donated PPEs, donated or funded COVID-19 testing activities to hospitals or related packages, provided facilities to serve as quarantine space for COVID-19 patients. And we could share the data as to for GOCC's actual contribution. In fact, we already submitted that to the good Senator Gatchalian, the committee chairman. As to the effect of the pandemic on GOCC financials, the GCG observes adverse impact on financials based on online meetings. We conducted several online meetings, and the first we done as to the tourism sector, and in continuing as of now, because we have to calibrate their scorecard by reason of this pandemic situation. For the financial viability, since 2012 to 2019, the GCG and the GOCCs under the GCG had an increase of the dividends remittance to up to 28 billion, 88% increase since the time the GCG was created. 274% increase in the amount of their declared dividends. This is the graph as to the increase of dividends remittance. The average, that the 28 billion is the average remittance from 2012 to 2019. So from 2004 to 2011, average remittance is 7.51 billion. We have here also our performance report, and this is shown in the screen. With respect to improve this corporate governance scorecard, we have our target and our accomplishment. We have assessed percentage of assessed GOCCs, the development of the CPCS, and also the nomination process. As to the social impact performance, we have a 53% improvement from the baseline. As to the proportion identified competition issues, we have a 100% accomplishment. As to the rationalization and reorganization, and having completed the Phil guarantee and BCDA, their approval of the reorg, we have a 100% accomplishment. As to the conduct of technical meeting with for the scorecard targets, our accomplishment is 100%. Okay, as to for 2020, this is for the 2019 assessment of the corporate governance scorecard. Since considering the financials is still and validation is still continue, especially the financial coming from the COA. The season here is for the last quarter of 2020. That's why the accomplishment is yet zero. Is primarily our performance report is a year-end target assessment and done on the last quarter of this year. And shown the screen for the physical report of operation. Again, this still under validation process, and hopefully by this will be a continuing process under the GCG. For our utilization of budget, our average utilization rate is almost 80%. And still ongoing up to the end of this year. Hopefully this will improve when the year end comes. Okay. It's a utilization for the first semester of 2020. Despite the pandemic, we're doing all our energy and commitment to improve this utilization. Okay. We have also some audit observation and recommendation from the COA, and primarily our EOM is the money given to our EA. In fact, this subject for many years why it was not utilized. But the action taken really is to return the money to the National Treasury. So we completed this audit observation per coordination with the Commission and Audit. As to the CPCS, it was also part of the observation of the COA. This is a very technical process. In fact, we handled also with submission and cooperation with the GOCCs, and we're improving this and continuing coordination with COA that we are doing our best to fully comply with their as to the implementation of the CPCS. We have here our strategic trust for 2021, the development of the new CPCS, the continuing enhancement of our ICRS, the institutionalization of the whistleblowing policy for GOCCs, the continuing intensify implementation of the performance evaluation system, implementation of the customer satisfaction survey for GOCCs, continuing study for disposition action, continuing implementation of talent pool for qualified candidates for appointed directors, continuing implementation of corporate governance scorecard for GOCCs, continue pursuit rationalization plan for this sector, maintenance of ISO 900 certification, implementation of a competency model for GCG, attainment of acceptable level of budget efficiency rate for our MOE, accuracy and timely submission of required documents to forward DBM and other concerned agencies, and the enhancement, learning and development of our employees in the regular monitoring of cash balances and timely review and processing of liquidation reports. For our allotment for 2021 budget, we are requesting for 192,088,000 pesos, 49% for PS for 94,697,000, and for MOE 51%, 97,391 pesos. In totality, we are asking for an increase of 1.16%, and we have no request for a capital outlay. This is primarily to address the implementation of the SSL 5 next year. For our MOE, we are requesting an increase of 25%, assisting services with the help us cope up with our operation. And for CO, we have no request for 2021. We have no projects for 2021. And this is our presentation, Your Honors. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much for your presentation. We now open the floor to questions, and Senator Marcos is recognized.
Thank you very much, Chairman Win. And of course, we congratulate our commission straight away because of the wanted increase in the collections from the GOCCs. To what do we ascribe the success in collections? I know that you've been very keen in abolishing, for example, 30 of these GOCCs that are not performing, or in certain cases, you've declared them inactive. Yung iba naman, na-ratchet up naman yung collection. Ano po ang nagawa ninyo na nakapag-collect tayo ng napakarami at tuwan-tuwa naman si Presidente.
Primarily, it was done through our performance evaluation scorecard. That process, not only to the financial side, the policies, the implementation programs, the learning, we have totally emphasized the GOCCs, their mandates, and the improvement of their personnel, and we're monitoring their major projects. We'll come up with whether they could finish on time based on their commitment to their rating and their performance scorecard. So
Yes.
with continuing performance evaluation, that is the source really of the improved dividends remittance.
As Commissioner, congratulations. I continue to be very, very concerned about the failure of monitoring and evaluation. Anong ginagamit ninyo sa scorecard? May IT system ba kayo? May results-based management? May software ba yan? Anong ginagamit ninyo? Kasi there's always a failure of monitoring and evaluation sabihin ko na, yung buong gobyerno, talagang kulang na kulang tayo.
Actually, we have our integrated corporate reporting system. So there is a season where they have to submit the periodic quarterly reports to GCG and ICRS. Only we have given their accounts to enter in our system, and hopefully we continue to make this real time. In fact, for the next enhancement of the ICRS, we could also monitor the number of employees, the number of COS, and hopefully the next improvement of ICRS, we could also see here for the stakeholders to see the process, how we conduct our PES performance evaluation. This is really the
key.
Monitoring for system. This is both as the financials and the leadership management system. So this is challenging, and our budget for the previous year improving our data center. Hopefully with our procurement, we have a recovery system for our data center, which is on pipeline and in our procurement. And we will continue really to strive. This is from the time it was a procured system. After that, we improved that through we hired programmers, because the continuing requirement as to law circulars from GOA, DOF, and to from laws, it's really a real-time improvement our integrated corporate reporting system.
Yes, we're very interested in that, and obviously in good corporate management, incentivizing is a big part. I think it's been 8 years since the GCG has said that there will be a competitive compensation system for the GOCCs, but until today, we haven't seen a unified one. In fact, there have been cases brought to court, as I recall, sa APO. So in the meantime, are they being given the increases mandated in the SSLs and so on?
Yes, that is based on our timeline. We'll be submitting end of the year the executive order for the CPCS.
I see.
It's
Why has this been delayed? Parang 8 years na wala pang nagagawa.
There was a study made in the previous administration, but when this administration reviewed that one, it's more more centric on the top management. So,
I see.
So that was big subject to continued study, and it was recommended to the Office of the President that another one will be created. In the interim. The EU 36 was issued for those GOCCs want to align with the SSL, and for the other GOCCs, it's really an option to adapt the SSL or to maintain the compensation framework. In fact, for the operating GOCCs, about 75% adopted the SSL.
I see. So you are hopeful that we will finally have this because you apparently started from scratch with the competitive compensation scheme. You started from scratch because you said that top management was unduly favored. So you are saying by this year's end, we
Yes.
will be seeing another scheme.
Yes. This will be through an executive order to be approved by the President of the Philippines.
That's very good news. We look forward to that, and we hope that we are updated on that here in the Senate. And of course, the burning question among all our GOCCs is your recommendation that PhilHealth should finally be reorganized. Thereafter, there were also differing opinions that it should be abolished, and in another announcement that PhilHealth would be sold and privatized. Where do we stand today?
Okay, as of now, Madam
At
Sen.
least, at least as far as your office is concerned, sir, I know that there are many naysayers, but as far as your office is concerned, ano po yung opinion ninyo?
Since 2017, we conducted an operational audit with respect to PhilHealth. In fact, in that recommendation to the Office of President is to transfer the supervising agency from DOH to the Department of Finance, primarily because this is really a insurance business, not really because health is just an effect of how PhilHealth conduct its business, so it should be under the Department of Finance. That was our recommendation in 2017. And also we are already submitted to the Committee on Health and Demographics our recommendation. We submitted that to Senator Gatchalian, our recommendation. But because of these various problem with respect to PhilHealth, we coordinated with the DOJ when it was ordered by the Office of the President to conduct investigation and recommendation.
This is the recent, Commissioner, is this the recent task force on PhilHealth that you're referring to?
Yes. And we submitted our recommendation, and the DOJ already submitted to the Office of the President the findings, and in constant coordination with the Office of the President, and he told us that they will be coming up with the recommendation, and one of these is for GCG to take action based on that recommendation. But on the surface, I already ordered my team, created an ad hoc body, a special order to start now our possible options and recommendation how to do with PhilHealth with respect really to how to disintegrate collection from claim and benefits, because there's really a disconnect there, because in claim and benefits there the corruption because of the perceived collusion between the claimants and the PhilHealth system with respect to their demand to pay their services. That is, somehow we will look on this to separate collection from claims and benefits.
I see.
Yeah, the matter.
So you're seeking to reorganize, not to abolish or to privatize.
And that would be an option, Your Honor. I suppose with having the claim and benefit, not a chartered corporation, but a non-chartered, because in non-chartered corporation, it's easy to discipline the management side or the executive, because you could terminate them by reason of lack of trust and confidence, because non-chartered is under the labor code, while chartered corporation is under the civil service rules. So there's a lot to be considered if it is a chartered corporation.
Also, right now, you are saying that PhilHealth, being a chartered corporation, it is somehow immune to the CSC regulations and other regulations.
Uh, no, not necessarily. They are subject to civil service regulation because of the constitutional provision of security and tenure.
Yes, I'm a little bit confused. I didn't catch the earlier statement. You said that you were recommending that PhilHealth will be non-chartered or chartered.
With respect to claims and benefits, but as with respect to regulation and collection, it should be retained as a chartered corporation or a regular agency,
I see.
separate.
Yes, so regulations, so what kind of animal would that be? Neither fish nor fowl. It's both chartered and non-chartered.
That is just an option, Your Honor. But if the recommendation with to privatize the claim, a sort of HMO for implementation of the universal health care law.
I see. Okay. So right now the DOF is already sitting on the board of PhilHealth. In what way would it differ if its supervising authority was DOF instead of DOH?
So with that, Your Honor, the DOF really is monitoring their daily finances and balances, how they spend the money being collected and through taxes. And also, the DOF is also functioning as a supervising agency of the Insurance Commission. Maybe the best practices under the Insurance Commission will be part of the healing process of PhilHealth, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. I don't want to take up other senators' time. Merely to inquire, maybe if you could give us or submit just a very short briefer. What's the update on IBC 13? There were announcements that it would be used for DepEd. In the meantime, that it has not been privatized. Also, the GSIS Family Bank. And certainly for my part, I'm very keen to find out what is the fate of Northern Foods, the tomato processing plant in Ilocos Norte. That will be all. Thank you. That's just a request for information for my Vice Chair, Gatchalian.
We will
Thank you,
submit.
Senator. Yes, Chairman, you may answer those queries.
Yes, Your Honor. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Marcos. Thank you for those very good questions. In fact, I was telling my staff, you always come very prepared with sharp questions, and thank you very much. I'll build on those questions later on. Senator Binay, any questions?
Vice Chair, magandang umaga po, Vice Chair Sherwin, Sen. Aimee, Chair Dagpin, and to the whole GG family. Just a few questions, Vice Chair Sherwin. Siguro unahin ko no, dun sa slide nyo, dun sa approved for abolition, may mga years 2013, 2014, 2015. Was this the year that it was abolished?
Yes, Your Honor.
So technically for 2018, tatlo lang talaga yung na-abolish.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then for 2019 po, meron ho bang
We submitted to the Office of the President MEPs for request for abolition.
ilang GOCCs po yun?
The one is the PNOCRC. I think it's just a PNOCRC, and because we already conducted and studied those GOCCs with competitive neutrality issues, and our performance evaluation as to financial viability have already taken place. We could really see those GOCCs not functioning financially and not through the mandate.
And then for 2020 ho, meron din ho ba kayong sinubmit for abolition?
None.
Okay, no further. And then, dito sa mga abolished na GOCCs, ano nangyari dun sa, I assume na may mga assets ho ito.
Yes.
What happened to the assets?
Okay. When GCG was created, I'll be through with this answer. And when the memorandum was issued for those GOCCs, there is the liquidating agency is ordered through the department, primarily those handling the supervisory authority, just like the DA, mainly those abolished GOCCs, like the NABCOR, the Zamboanga, Direct, the human settlement is under with the Department of Agriculture. And the part of GCG, we have no really division at the time when I assumed this office, primarily to handle and this abolition and liquidation. So that's why we are requesting, and hopefully it will be approved by the DBM, a separate division handling this liquidation process. As of now, despite the numbers of our personnel, I created an ad hoc committee. It's really some personnel from the legal, from the corporate governance to monitor the conduct of the abolition. Because in abolition liquidation, there is residual powers for the abolished GOCs to function. We recommended to the Office of the President designates for the board to approve the liquidation plans, just like we've done to the GOCCs under the DA. Some directors there were sitting as part of the board. Just like when we abolished the Kedancor, we have to approve the liquidation plan, how we will pay the remaining employees, because based on the corporation code, that abolished GOCs maintains its authority as to these residual powers. So when this liquidation plan is approved, we continue monitoring that until it's how these properties will be, some will be retained by the DA. They're asking for retention of properties, but the continuing is how to protect the separation pay of the separated employees.
So, tama po ba yun, Chair Dagpin? Parang you mentioned, wala kayong budget to monitor the liquidation and the actual abolition.
That's because we have no division. When I assume office, there is no division under the GCG created. So that is why I'm asking for an office, a division from the DBM, and since last year we submitted that and continuing because the DBM will assess whether this division is necessary. Positively, it will be granted by the Department of Budget and Management.
So, Chair Dagpin, at the moment, itong mga na-approve nyo for abolition, technically, it's the concerned agency ang nagli-liquidate.
Yes.
And ang nag-abolish.
Yes, Your Honor, in coordination also with the Private Management Office of the Department of Finance.
And I assume they just send you for information kung ano na yung status ng liquidation and abolition. For example, yung mga na-abolish noong 2013, like, kunyari, NABCOR. Ano ho ba yung liquidation nito? 100% tapos na or still in the process?
We're part of the technical working group. There's a technical working group there, Your Honor, and that's why my ad hoc body, despite the limitation, continuing the monitoring, how it is done by the supervising agencies, being ordered by the Office of the President to conduct the liquidation.
So, Chair Dagpin, ito nga, siguro I'll cite an example again, yung NABCOR, which was abolished noong 2013. Ibig yung sabihin, it's been 7 years at hindi pa tapos yung actual abolition and liquidation of the corporation?
With NABCOR is the records, really. That's why we're continuing budgeting the DA to reduce that record. But there are no really personnel now eligible on the NABCOR. So I'm really in a tight fix how to do this. But I'm doing my best, Your Honor. That's why I hopefully that division under GCG will be created as soon as possible.
So out of the, so ito, di ba no 2013, there's 10 corporation approved for abolition. Meron ho ba dito sa 10 na ito na totally liquidated and totally abolished?
They're already abolished, but as to
Liquidation.
we have the Bataan Tech Park Incorporated, and but I assure you, Your Honor, the employees will taken off first as to their separation pay. What happening really is the records. So that's why we are constantly coordinating with the Department of Agriculture and other department to continue the liquidation process.
Okay, and sige, siguro Chair Dagpin, if kung ano lang yung kaya, can you just submit to the committee kung ano na yung status ng liquidation from 2013 to kung kaya ho to 2018?
Yes, we have copy for that, and we will already submit to the legislative committee for finance for the
Okay. Thank you. And then yung mga approved naman for privatization, usually gaano katagal ito bago talaga na pa-privatize yung isang approved corporation?
Actually, it's more on selling of shares and stocks. So there's no problem with privatization really. So it's lock, stock, and barrel.
Okay. And then, dito ho naman sa non-operational or inactive, you have 25 corporations. Ano ho ba to? Parang waiting room before you approve for abolition?
These are really part of the holding companies, so not really operational, no employees. So it's just there. And if there is an incentive to operate it back, still there.
May assets ho ba itong mga kumpanya na to?
Primarily none, Your Honor, because this is just a paper corporation.
Okay. Doon ho ba sa 118 GOCCs nyo, ilan ho doon na paper corporation?
I want Shell, it's really 19 based on my record, Your Honor. Because the one functioning really here is these are subsidiaries. So the parent corporation are doing really the job. So 19 based on the record we submitted to the committee. Here, the Patangas Land Company, First Cavite, Kamayan Realty, among others.
Okay. Siguro, Chair Dagpin, pwede for submission na lang din ho. Baka, di ba you have 118 GOCCs?
Yes.
Pwede for submission na lang, paki-divide na lang ho kung ano yung paper corporation doon or...
Yes, we will submit that, Your Honor.
Okay. And then, dun ho sa yung GOCC contributions to Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, 26 corporations lang ho ba yung nag-contribute or 26 lang ho yung pinresent nyo?
Based on the reports coming to the GCG, it's 26, but based on what was reported by the Department of Finance, the last cabinet meeting, good portion that coming from the GOCCs under the GCG. It was said that 127 billion was part of the sovereign wealth of this country, being part of the finance the pandemic situation, Your Honor. We submitted the number, the dividends, and the retained earnings from GOCCs submitted to the Department of Finance to the National Treasury.
I think yung mga GOCC nga natin, yung naging malaking parte for dun sa bayanihan. So ang laki ho talagang contribution dun sa response natin sa COVID, itong mga GOCCs. Dun ho sa presentation niya, bakit wala akong contribution yung PCSO?
PCSO is because of their mandate that they're part of the Universal Health Act. It's more on their contribution to the Universal Health Act, Your Honor, and we will submit specifically their submission with respect to their contribution to the Bayanihan to Heal Act, Your Honor.
Okay.
But more of their money really is with respect to the charity fund, how much will be given to the Universal Health Act. And we have a process there, how do we do it and how much, you know.
Okay. Yan lang po. Thank you, Chair Dagpin. Maraming salamat, Vice Chair Sherwin.
Thank you, Senator Binay, and equally your questions are very sharp and on point. I want to build on that also later on. There are a lot of questions that Senator Binay expound on, and I want to build on those to get some clarity also. So I think that's all for our senator. So I just have some questions, Chair Dagpin, and let's go to the basics, no? And this is where I want to build on what Senator Binay mentioned earlier. To date, meron pong 30 GOCCs na na-abolish, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Doon po sa 30, ilan po ang natipid ng gobyerno in terms of subsidies? Subsidies, ha?
In this record, but the totality is 3.2 billion.
Magkano po?
The totality saved is about 3.21 billion. And
3 billion?
the subsidies really is an average of 1,837,000,000.66 annual subsidies saved by reason of the abolition of the GOCCs.
Okay. Yes, that's the annual, no? 3.2 billion
Operational expense.
savings for government. I'm assuming that's the subsidies. But what is the total, no, na save po ng gobyerno?
I want to be clear here, Your Honor. As to operational expense, the government saved about 3.21 billion. As to the average annual subsidies, about 5.5 billion for 6 years, because these 30 GOCCs were receiving about 837.66 million, Your Honor.
Sorry, magkano po ulit? Can you repeat that?
Average of 837 million. So for 6 years, we save about 5 billion.
So the abolition of the 30 GOCCs yielded to how much savings in form of subsidies?
5 billion for 6 years.
5 billion for 6 years. Okay. 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 And then in terms of dividends naman po, no? With the remaining 118 GOCCs, how much dividends that ang binibigay po ng itong remaining 118 GOCCs?
For the average from 2011, they are remitting about 28 billion. So for 2019, for GOCCs under GCG, 2019, they remitted about 47 billion pesos, Your Honor.
Can you repeat that again, Chairman?
For the average from 2011, since the time GCG was created, the average remittance about 28 billion. And for 2019, specifically, the remittance is about 47 billion pesos, Your Honor.
Okay. So in 2019, the 118 GOCCs remitted 47 billion pesos in dividends.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then, Chairman, I know for a fact that even though it's remitting dividends, there are GOCCs that we still subsidize till to date, no, under your ambit. Out of the 118 GOCCs left, how much subsidies are we still giving to these GOCCs?
We'll give you that record, Your Honor, but I know the biggest subsidy is on the housing side, subsidy as to the National Housing Authority because of a lot of projects there. The reason
So,
Awi, Yolanda.
yes, but how much, ano ba yung top 3? If you have just the top 3, give us the top 3 biggest GOCCs that government is still subsidizing.
Number 1 really is PhilHealth.
Okay.
Number 2, top of the mind. Maybe
Top of mind lang po.
NHA.
Okay.
And third is NIA.
NIA. Because meron
it-
kaming records, we got records from DBM. The amount of subsidies that we have given in 2019 amounted to 201 billion. And the dividends that these GOCCs gave out is about 47 billion. So more or less, if you just do the simple math, so more or less, government still shelled out 150 plus billion on subsidies. So in other words, government is still not getting its return on its money.
These are really program subsidies, Your Honor, and those still paying for the previous debts of abolished GOCCs and other GOCCs still which the national government committed to pay as a sovereign guarantee, Your Honor.
Yes, correct. But from a standpoint of performance, one of the mandates of GCG is to make sure that every subsidies that we are given comes back, no, in the form of dividends, or else there's no reason for its existence. No, if you look at how corporations work, they have to at one point make money and return its capital to the government. But in this case, the subsidies being given out is much bigger compared to the dividends being given in.
I know, Your Honor, these are more on the program subsidies, but our performance evaluation system, the PES, monitoring the financial side, and one of their mandate really, if they are not financially viable, we recommend for abolition, merger, perhaps privatization. That's why we continue doing that. And with respect to the program subsidies, really it's more on a social impact because we have a big housing backlog also to maintain. We have to support our farmers with respect to the NIA and with respect to health because it's universal health care really. That's why these are really big program subsidies. With respect to social impact, and it may not really return on financial returns, but more on the social mandate of the state, Your Honor.
Yes, Senator
With
Binay.
your permission, Mr. Chair, kasi nabanggit ni Chair yung NHA.
Go ahead po.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair. Chair, nagpin kasi nabanggit yung NHA na parang top or isa dun sa top 3 na subsidized by government. Na-assess nyo na ho ba? Dahil alam ko, yung mga pinamimigay ho naman na bahay, supposed to be binabayaran niya ng mga beneficiaries eh. Have you checked yung payment rate,
Yes, that's part
yung collection rate ng NHA. And kung hindi sila nagpo-perform dun sa function nila to collect, wouldn't that affect the performance of the corporation?
that is one of their commitments in their performance evaluation scorecard, the efficiency of collection. And to review their performance scorecard, the efficiency of collection really is one of those challenges that GOCC.
Vice Chair and Chair Dagpin, baka pwede for submission na lang kung ano yung mga corporations na mababa yung efficiency collection.
We'll do that, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yes, Chairman, on top of that, no, take a look at I agree with Senator Binay, because even though they have social mandates, they have collections also. And the collections is meant to cover, at the very least, no, operational cost. But when you're saying that we are forking out more subsidies, that means lugi ho talaga. No? So, ilan po doon sa 118 chairman pumasa ng performance evaluation system? I know that's the tool for you to determine whether the GOCC is performing or not. But how many of those passed your PES and how many failed?
For 2018, we have the data, but for 2019, it's not yet complete, Your Honor, because part of the really for the accuracy of the financial side is we are still constrained with the submission of the COA, and also with respect to other compliance with EOTF, that is really agency-wide monitoring. It's done with the DBM. We're waiting first for part of the scorecard where they can pass the with respect to their efficiency as to procurement, the citizens charter, the website. This is monitored by the DBM, and we're waiting for that record to come to GCG. After that, we could finish really for the end of this year for 2019 the scorecard for all GOCCs. We'll continue to coordinate with you, Your Honor.
Yes, Chairman, medyo matagal yung 2019. No? We're almost at the end of 2020. And I would expect that the PES for 2019 should have been completed already. No? So that we can decide whether to abolish or to what to do with those GOCCs. But sige, given that it's delayed, in 2018, how many of those 118 GOCCs passed and how many failed?
For under CGOA, I'm asking my director here. Director G. Yes. 34 passed out of the 2018.
So kung 34 passed po, only minority passed.
Yes,
No?
but
Close to 70 plus failed.
when we review the performance theory with respect how we will apply our mandate to abolish merge, it is the performance for the past three to 4 years, and we'll assess that. So, but we also constrain the OCCs with social function, which really, if we abolish them, part of the mandate of the state to give the services to the aggrieved sector, primarily the poorest of the poor of this country. We're constrained to just have them continue, but with respect to their purpose, they cannot receive their bonuses, including the private sector representative of their board.
So Chairman, what will happen to those 70 plus who failed? Will they be abolished?
No, primarily they will not receive the performance-based bonus. And if there's no performance-based bonus, naturally the directors can also not receive the performance-based incentive. So that's connected.
Okay.
And also, if they cannot secure at least 70%, they could not get the CNA incentive. That's 25,000 pesos at the end of the year. So there's
Yeah, but aside from the bonus, I think the most um, meaningful penalty will be abolition, no? Because definitely we're also subsidizing these poor performing GOCCs.
that would,
They might not get their bonuses, but we're still forking out subsidies to those 70 who failed. So wouldn't it be more meaningful if we just abolish them since they're not performing anyways?
that would be part of our study, Your Honor. So we'll continue to strive, and hopefully, if they will not improve for the coming season, they will be subjected again because based on our law, any privatization, merger, or streamlined reorganization, we are mandated also to consult the department of agency in which a GOCC is attached. So that is based on our law. It's not really a one-way authority of GCG. It's really also for the supervising agency to, as a guidance, that this GOCCs under them will be reorganized, merged, streamlined, or abolished or privatized.
Okay. Like for example, I'm looking at my records, Chairman. One of the GOCCs na nasa inyo ngayon, yung PITC Pharma. I think
Yes.
it's renamed as Philippine Pharma Procurement. And in 2019, it lost almost 26 million pesos. And it has been losing for the last 4 years. No? So then again, no, I think its mandate is to trade pharmaceuticals. But the private sector we can just buy from the private sector and trade pharmaceuticals. Correct? So why are we subsidizing? Because we're obviously subsidizing, it's losing money. Why are we subsidizing this company? Well, in fact, the private sector can do this operation. And this is a GOCC under your watch.
Your Honor, we already done our initial meetings and processes with respect to abolition. In fact, we have a meeting with the supervising agency and the DTI and possible abolition of PPI. That GOCC is also housed in the same building as the PITC, and however, it was deemed that PPI has a role in the medicine procurement. In fact, there was a legislative inquiry or committee hearing with Senator Gordon. The one handling the PPI was also called up, and we mentioned there that we'll be abolishing PPI. It's in the process, and we'll follow up again with the supervising agency, and really based on the records as a financial side and mandate, it's really a subject for abolition, Your Honor.
Chairman, I'm not directly suggesting abolition. No? What I'm saying is it's losing money.
Yes.
Obviously, capital is being eaten up, and eventually the Filipino people will have to fork out to sustain this. So unless they make money, It's us, the taxpayers, who will be subsidizing that. Another one will be the Center for International Trade, Exposition and Missions. In 2019, it also incurred deficit of about 245 million pesos because it's been losing money also. So deficit meaning the capital is already at a negative stage. So meaning we have to give subsidies for it to keep afloat. In fact, government gave 279 million pesos for subsidies. Again, I'm not calling for the immediate abolition, but I'm saying is with cases like this, wherein the mandate of the trade expositions and missions can be handled, or it's already being handled by the private sector, doesn't it make sense that the private sector pursue this instead of government subsidizing almost 200 million pesos?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, I have a meeting with the head of that GOCC, and we have tried to her. It's I forgot the name of the CEO of SITEM, and they really want to, based on their presentation to us, that they are transforming to digitalization of their operation. But as for GCG, we were looking at to have the system as a regular, as to be part of a regular agency. Its function really, the regularization of its function under the DTI, not as a GOC.
Chairman, ito bang SITEM pumasa ito ng PES?
No, Your Honor. Magsakto.
Pumasa ba siya ng performance evaluation?
Yes, Your Honor, because it's really the result of their operation more on the red, more on it's more subsidy being given than the revenue.
Hindi, did it pass the PES or not?
Bagsak po, Your Honor.
Bagsak, okay. Chairman, there's another GOCC here, no? Yung PNOC Renewables.
Yes.
It's also losing money. It's been losing money for the last 4 years.
Okay. For that,
And then I heard earlier that you have already recommended, because
Yes.
again, no, I'm just meaning, a few of the 118 GOCCs, but this one is clearly losing money. And again, I'm not calling for the immediate abolition. What I'm saying lang is, unless they shape up and make money for the government, I don't see the point of these corporations existing, no? Because like I mentioned earlier, 200 billion was spent by the taxpayers to subsidize all of these corporations.
based on their operation, they are operating at a loss for the past 4 years. In fact, we redone all the parameters as to the abolition. We submitted already the MAP for abolition to the Office of the President. So we have done our part in assessing this GOCC. So waiting because based on our mandate, really we are recommendatory with respect to abolition process, Your Honor.
So this GOCC has been recommended for abolition already.
Yes, Your Honor.
Chairman, my point lang and point namin ni Senator Binay is we need to be more aggressive in your recommendation to abolish or recommendation to reform the operations of the GOCCs. Because again, no, we're forking out 200 billion pesos in subsidies, and we see some GOCCs here clearly are not making money, or they're competing with the private sector, or the private sector can do it much better than them. No, so my recommendation is to just be more aggressive, because every year the GCG will be gauged by its actions.
It's a continuing
So
process.
yes, with that, Mr. Chairman, just submit to us the 2018 results of the PES and the data that Senator Binay requested earlier.
We will do that, Your Honor.
Before we continue, we're also joined by Senator Go, who will be manifesting his opening statement. Senator Go? Senator Go, you're recognized. Is Senator Go there? Kung wala pa po, we'll
Yeah, Vice
continue.
Chair, he's in the Commission on Appointments yata. For
Okay.
now.
Yeah, we'll continue na lang and then we'll call on him as he arrives. Chairman, I want to pursue the question of Senator Marcos earlier on PhilHealth, no? Because PhilHealth is probably the biggest scandal in recent memory, especially under COVID. No, we were all dismayed that even under COVID, a lot of unscrupulous people or unscrupulous members of PhilHealth, walang konsensya ho at nakaw ng nakaw doon. And I know PhilHealth is under the ambit of GCG, and I just want to understand from GCG's standpoint what happened, no? Because I was looking at the report that you sent me as early as 2016, using the corporate governance scorecard, bagsak na siya, no? In 2016, 63%, 2017, 52%, 2018, 42%. So there's a trend of underperformance, no, of PhilHealth. So from your standpoint, how come PhilHealth was left to operate this way? And now we're reeling the consequences of poor management and corrupt practices inside.
Your Honor, as we see, we have a single-payer healthcare system, but really it's a true and true operation. So in a single-payer healthcare system, we collected all the contribution together with the subsidy, and still it's the main GOCC handling the claims and the benefits. So naturally it's a really there's a semblance of creating an atmosphere of pollution within that GOCC. That's why in other jurisdictions, with respect to claim and benefits, there's another entity, or more on the private sector handling the health, the claims and benefits vis-a-vis the demands of hospitals, doctors as to the claim. But in here, it's a true and true system. From the start of collection up to the claims and benefits, it's a one agency, one GOCC. That's why really when this problem arise through the years, so we have now here cases being filed to upcasing and on fraud, because we have same people down to the top handling all these claim and benefits. That's really a problem, really. And I suppose you have to disconnect this claim and benefits mandate of PhilHealth. So,
Chairman, yes, go ahead. Sige.
also with respect to the supervision, in fact, I told you earlier that since 2017, we recommended that this to focus PhilHealth really as a health insurance agency, because it insure people when the time you are being subjected to medical health issues, So it's really when you give your contribution, there is really responsibility to pay because you contributed not only in form of collection but the taxes being subsidized to PhilHealth. So that focus that it is not really a true and true health process that's just giving right away money, because in insurance really there is really parameters that fraud should be properly monitored, and the efficiency in the money or the budget for this system will be protected. So that's my take on what really happened to PhilHealth.
Chairman, in 2018, did PhilHealth pass the PES, your performance evaluation standard?
Still bagsak 78 because the passing is 90%.
So bagsak ko siya, 78. So in other words, wala siyang nakuhang bonus.
Wala po, Your Honor.
Okay. So PhilHealth, the officers and the directors didn't get any bonuses in 2018.
And for the information of the Senate committee, and as of unvalidated financials, the current rating of PhilHealth will not reach 50% for 2019.
So in that being the case, I think it lays a very good groundwork for what Senator Marcos mentioned earlier, a possibility of privatizing PhilHealth. In fact, ako personally, my own analysis is this operation can be privatized because basically it's an HMO operation eh. And in my previous work in the private sector, we normally buy HMO from private corporations, and it works. No, it's an HMO. It's a plain HMO, health medical insurance siya eh. And we all know right now that this type of operation is prone to corruption in the hands of the wrong people. But since this operation can be performed by the private sector, why not just give it to the private sector? The government just pays premium.
Yes, Your Honor, that be one of the options, because here really it's the problem is really in the claims and benefits portion of our healthcare system. So that would be an option for the Congress to look upon into. With respect to collection and regulation, just like in other jurisdictions under the government. But as to claims and benefits, I think there must be somehow a great reformation how we'll do it our healthcare system. Also, we have to define also what are the basic essential health services to be serviced by our universal healthcare. So that will be properly studied, the coverage really, and over and above that is really an individual mandates for a person. Supposing he will go for a private room, so in a basic health essential services platform, those not covered, but that system he has to pay. So you have capacity to pay, you go for a higher program under an HMO system.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Senator Binay.
Siguro just to share, di ba dati, Chair Dagpin, government agencies were getting health HMOs from private insurance companies eh. Kaso lang, this was disallowed. Pero dati, mas gusto ng mga nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno yung private insurance companies. Kasi number one, mas malaki yung coverage, mas madaling ma-access yung yung insurance compared to PhilHealth. So, siguro maganda nga pag-aralan, Chair, kung magiging ganun yung sistema in lieu of subsidizing PhilHealth. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Tama, Senator Bina. I remember before sa mga in some LGUs, they can acquire on top of PhilHealth, they can acquire private HMOs kasi nga yung coverage and yung partnership nila with hospitals mas malawak. So the employee would rather have a private HMO rather than PhilHealth because konti lang yung partner hospitals. But Chairman, kayo personally, what's your take? I just want to know, no, being the governance watchdog of all GOCCs, what is the take of the GCG in terms of PhilHealth? How to move forward? Do you think it should be privatized? Do you think it should be reformed? Is there any hope for reform?
There is a hope for reform, really. I already mentioned earlier that the claims and benefits portion of the healthcare system is the one having the problem. And also we have to define really what is the basic essential health services to be covered by PhilHealth. Because on top of that, it's now an individual mandate, just like getting an HMO to top up that services given to a regular member of PhilHealth. So we have to define the basic essential health services to be covered by PhilHealth.
Well, at least we can see that your performance evaluation standards or system is functioning. Or else without the PES, PhilHealth will probably give themselves bonuses because in their eyes they're doing well. But because of that mechanism, the PES mechanism, they were deprived of those bonuses. And it's purely on their own doing because of poor management. I can see the presence of Senator Bongo. Senator Bongo.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Ako na po?
Go ahead, sir.
Pwede po ako mag-manifest?
Yes, go ahead.
Good day, Mr. Chair and fellow colleagues. I will not interpose any questions. I'm here to manifest my full support for the budget of the Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations, otherwise known as the GCG with the Chairman Sammy Dagpin as its helm. The GCG is responsible for monitoring and oversight of our government-owned and controlled corporations. It has the authority to implement and coordinate policies of our government-owned controlled corporations. Ang GCG po, isa sa mga nagsisilbing watchdog para sa ating mga GOCCs. The Commission is in charge of examining and evaluating the performance of our GOCCs. Pag may underperforming at hindi maayos ang trabaho, it is their mandate to recommend the abolition of such GOCC. Kaya nga po nung kamakailan lang, I urge the GCG to perform an evaluation of PhilHealth's performance to help determine the steps to be taken to cleanse the agency from corruption and improve its services to our fellow Filipinos. Naniniwala po ako na marami pong matitinong tao dyan sa PhilHealth. Huwag po natin hayaan na mahawaan ito ng mga bulok na empleyado, ang mga empleyado na gustong magserbisyo sa kapwa Pilipino. Yan ang yung mga kampante na kurakot at gahaman at alam nyo, abutan rin po kayo. If I were you, I will begin counting the days dahil abutan rin kayo. Makukulong rin po kayo. Anyway, sa mga matitinong tao naman at mga empleyado, you have our full support po. Basta magserbisyo lang po kayo sa kapwa nating Pilipino. Importante po, huwag natin pabayaan ang ating mga kababayan na nangangailangan, lalo na at may hinaharap tayong health crisis sa ngayon. Kailangan masiguro na ma-implement na maayos at matiwasay ang universal healthcare at mabigyan ng maagap na serbisyo ang ating kapwa Pilipino pagdating sa kalusugan. In addition to, I would like to echo my support to the measure filed by Senate President Tito Soto, which will amend the Universal Healthcare Law and change the chairmanship of PhilHealth. Ang Secretary of Finance na ang magiging bagong chairman ng PhilHealth. Dahil insurance corporation po itong PhilHealth, I appreciate the efforts of its current chair, Sec. Duque of the DOH, Pero sobrang busy po niya ngayon sa IATF at hindi niya talaga kaya gawin ang trabaho sabay-sabay. Secretary Dominguez personally pledged to me that he becomes the chair of PhilHealth through the passage of this measure. He will go after all the corrupt individuals within and outside the PhilHealth. Hahabulin niya po, lalong-lalo na yung mga kakutsaba na mga nasa pribado na nakakalusot. And I'm sure seryoso po ang ating gobyerno sa paghahabol ngayon dun sa mga nakakalusot. Hahabulin namin kayo. Finally, it is for these reasons that I support the budget of the GCG. Competent po ito si Chairman Sammy Dagpin. He's been there for 4 years already. Hindi niya tayo bibiguin. Challenge sa Secretary Dagpin. Tulungan niyo po ang ating gobyerno para linisin po yung mga ahensyang talagang corrupt. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Senator Go. And we'll do our best. And thank you for the support of our budget.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Go. Thank you for that manifestation. Just to continue, Chairman Dagpin, I'm looking at your charter right now, no, and there's a very good provision here on your powers, and this is to. I just want to know, no, let's go back to PhilHealth, no. The directors play a very important role. In fact, I blame the directors for this debacle because all of those things should pass through the directors, and the directors should take time to scrutinize the policies, scrutinize the loopholes, and investigate all of these leakages and corruption happening inside. Hindi na ho dapat umabot yung all the way to the Senate and other agencies. It's their fiduciary role to investigate and to look all of these, to look over and to analyze all of these things happening in PhilHealth. Now, my point there is, of course, the directors will play important role if they are qualified and if they are if they have the qualifications and skills to perform their duties. My question is, itong mga directors ba ho dumaan sa shortlist ho ng GCGs?
Yes, Your Honor. We have the fit and fitness rule and we have the necessary memorandum circular wherein we require them to or interview and submission of their qualification. In fact, when we submit our recommendation for nomination to the president, it's supposing it's more than 50% of the actual nominees. So we have also our thereafter subjected to a performance evaluation for the feed system, the regular monitoring the performance to the feed system, and part also with the feed system is really their not only attendance and per rating. We have more also that they will also buy in the performance evaluation scorecard of the GOCC, because in the past really it's 60%. They will have a bad grade or a below average grade in the PES, really, that will affect their performance scores. And naturally also, they will not be granted PBI because the if the scorecard of that corporation is very bad, below 90, supposing they will get, really there is a multitude of representation, and they're required to subject to a training after their appointment in the PhilHealth board. So necessarily all the in there in the law, but if their performance really it's not up to uh, the condition which PhilHealth is now setting. So that is really I don't know really why it happened. It's really more on the person rather than the system and procedure being for with respect to the nomination and appointment of directors in PhilHealth, Your Honor.
So what happened, Chairman? Because you have a fit and proper rule, which is that is the power under your charter, and you recommended. You said earlier you recommended half of the directors of PhilHealth. So meaning they went through stringent filtering insofar as their qualifications and skills are concerned. So what happened? How come all of these things? We're talking about corruption not on a million magnitude. We're talking about corruption on a billion. Magnitude. So it's quite astonishing that this slipped through their fingers and their attention. So if we are saying that these people are qualified and they have the skills to perform their fiduciary role, what happened?
You're mentioning the fiduciary rule with respect to the duties of the directors. Again, based on the function of the GCG really, when this is really a problem of the business judgment, because I suppose if you run PhilHealth, really it's more on the business acumen, those the executives and primarily the board. So that's why it's not more on the GCG is seeing this, but what really the business judgment on the part of the PhilHealth board, why they allow this situation happens, Your Honor.
Senator Binay, you want to join in the conversation?
Mr. Chair, siguro para mas maliwanag. For example, kasi di ba yung pagka-appoint ni Chair Morales sa PhilHealth, parang may question dun sa qualification niya na apparently may pagkukulang, but still he was appointed. Yung GCG, do you give the shortlist to the Office of the President na ito lang na among the pool of appointees, ito yung qualified?
Yes. in the process of PhilHealth, a direct appointment by the president. So what we have done really is vetting him as a direct appointment, and we also consider that as part of his recommendation to
CCs. That same process is done. Na
No.
kailangan yung shortlist ng mga direktor manggagaling muna sa GCG before siya dalhin sa OP.
yes, for appointed as directors. After that, they will by election they will choose who will be the president.
Their CEO or president. Okay, thank you.
Parang ano naman yun na chairman na lumabas, you recommended him for director and then the directors recommended him to be the president.
Yes, Your Honor. And the president directly appoint him as the president, CEO of PhilHealth.
Yeah, but the director should have been more prudent because he wasn't recommended for president by the GCG. His qualifications were meant to fill in a directorship, not a president.
Yes, Your Honor.
So my point of the matter, Chairman, is what reforms do you plan to do, no? Bearing in mind what happened to PhilHealth. Ako, I can see some success stories, no? For example, your performance evaluation system is a success story because obviously it prohibited PhilHealth from giving bonuses to themselves and other GOCCs. So in a sense, the GCG is functioning as what is mandated. Now, learning from PhilHealth, what reforms do you think GCG should do further in order for this type of occurrences not to happen anymore? I truly believe that GCG can still exert some of its powers, no? At least pursuing powers. Kung recommendatory kayo, may pursuing powers kayo because you report straight to the president. What other reforms do you plan to do so that this type of malfeasance will not happen anymore, no, at this scale?
One of really what we're asking for the powers of the GCG really is to have subpoena powers, because it's really more when we ask for documents, it's more of a request of compliance with our programs. But once we will be given subpoena powers as to the documents coming from GOCCs, it will be a great help in ferreting out all those problems now besetting not only PhilHealth but to all GOCCs. Because when we demand documents, really, we submit wrong documents and which we cannot really validate their performance scorecard. So that's what hampering. And also, we need also to have some amendment of the GCG with respect to how it's being with respect to maintenance of technical personnel, because we are suffering attrition rate for those trained people, and we continue to retain, and it's being, and I'm not saying we are pirated, it's really a decision of employees to have greener pasture. So that's why we're asking that amendment also to have also more continuity, to give fixed term to the commission so that it's not prone to other political and other considerations. So hopefully we will submit the some recommendation to this committee, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair?
Senator Marcos? Yes, Senator
Yes,
Marcos.
I'd just like to inquire, you are saying that you have no subpoena power, but certainly under the office of the president, you can request the executive secretary for the same.
If there
Can
is,
you not recommend to the executive secretary that these documents be subpoenaed under the president's mandate?
it's already raised into investigation, Your Honor, but based on our really mandatory, we cannot really demand that with documents. So
Because That would require us to endow you with quasi-judicial powers, which would be problematic, I think. Pili nyo kung hindi kayo nakakahingi ng dokumento at isabtina yung mga kinakailangan.
That would be an option, Your Honor.
The other issue was with regard to your personnel. I didn't quite understand why you were unable to hire. Is there an issue with your salary grades? That seems to be right across the board through all the GOCCs.
We are handling more than 7 trillion regulation assets in this country, and we are not salary exempt, Your Honor. We are
I see. How many people do you have? Parang you're so understaffed given your coverage.
on approved OSP, we have 110, but because of the attrition, we are really functioning about 80 to 90. And the multifarious function of GCG is only one thing for personnel and upgrades, Your Honor.
Why would you require an amendment of the law just to expand your personnel?
No. It's really for the that will be considered salary exempt, just like SEC, ECC, IC.
I see. So you want it amended so that it becomes comparable to SEC and the rest?
Yes, Your Honor.
I see. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. I just needed clarity. And of course, the last recommendation about the fixed term is entirely understandable to remove you from any political pressure or bias. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Marcos. And I'd like to pursue yung chairman, yung binuksan ni Senator Binay, the liquidation. No? She's absolutely correct. Even though you abolish the GOCCs, but in a sense, it's not perfected because you haven't liquidated it. No? And you mentioned earlier that you set up a ad hoc group to perform liquidation. But in my sense, since the GOCC is lodged under a specific department, I would assume they are a much more competent organization to conduct the liquidation because they have all the records already. No, so can you elaborate on that? No? Because I'm curious on how to make liquidation more efficient, because when you abolish, there's no more use for those assets. And it's good to get something out of those assets. But if anyone is not doing anything, it's going to just get stuck on the hands of government. So can you elaborate, number one, your comment earlier on an ad hoc group conducting liquidation? And then number two is, what is the fastest way to liquidate?
First, as the ad hoc, it's really monitoring because the liquidation and liquidation process through a memorandum order from the Office of President is lodged on the particular department or the department under the national government agency. So to give more coordination, because there is also a technical working group where GCG is a member, we see to it that the follow-through will be done. So that's why I created an ad hoc within GCG to monitor this liquidation conducted by the department. As to the second question, Your Honor, there are two kinds, so we have no problem there. Also, the GSIS Family Bank privatized, so it's under the GSIS main GOCC. That will be no problem. The problem really is the standalone GOCCs. That's why, because of the time GCG was created, it's still in infancy, it was given to a supervising agency to conduct the liquidation. So the ad hoc really is more on a stopgap measure until such time we have a particular division in GCG to handle really all these liquidation process.
So, since you have a monitoring system, Chairman, dito sa na-abolish, the 30 abolished GOCCs, how many percent are already liquidated? Do you have statistics on that? And how much did we earn from that liquidation, if we did earn?
We had just approved the liquidation of Kidancor. We save a lot of money there to be, because that's many loans and subsidies were given to Kidancor. And secondly, the RSBS, we already approved the abolition. That's a big liquidation process, because it's also where the previous retirement benefits of members of AP and PNP to be refunded. Currently, they are doing that, and as of now, it's fully functioning. And again, we submit on inventory of GOCCs to your office and to this committee. It's all there, the current condition, listing. We are also merging GOCCs. We have now the Philippine Guarantee Corporation, where 3 GOCCs were merged. The PIDCorp, or the Philippine PhilHealth, the Home Guarantee Corporation is already there, and small portion of SDC. Portion of the function of SDC is now under the Philippine Guarantee Corporation. It's all in our report to you, sir, with the committee.
But Chairman, in your estimate, out of the 30, no, I know halo-halo na assets, how many percent are already fully liquidated?
It's filed in the record, Your Honor.
More or less lang po, from your estimate, how many percent were already fully liquidated?
Suppose the record is not so good, Your Honor. We have no problem with respect to the subsidiary, but to the one with original or non-chartered, originally created, still an ongoing process. We have no record with that, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Ilan po? Ilan po ang...
I will submit that data, Your Honor.
Sige po, please submit to us, but obviously it's not 100% liquidated, you know.
Yes, yes, sir.
And-
I will. I'm true to that answer, Your Honor. That's why.
That's the point of Senator Binay, because the abolition is a good step, but recovering from the asset is something that we need to pursue, because sayang lang, no, the assets are there, nakatambak lang sila.
Siguro, Mr. Chair, just to add,
Yes, go ahead.
pagdating dun sa mga asset, di ba, ayaw din naman natin na sa sobrang tagal i-liquidate, halos wala nang value yung mga assets. Nagde-diminish na yung mga values nila. Kasi katulad nga, noong 2013, may mga abolished corporations na mukhang hanggang ngayon, it's been 7 years, hindi pa fully liquidated. Thank you.
So pagka-submit na lang sa amin, Chairman, and then also a suggestion on how to pursue expedited liquidation.
We will do that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And
Mr. Chair, just
yes,
Mr.
yes,
Chair,
Senator
just
Binay,
for
go ahead.
additional submission siguro, baka pwede palagay din kung ano yung agency in charge of liquidation. Kasi maybe, Chair, we can take this up during the budget deliberation. For example, kung marami pa dun under sa Department of Agriculture, maybe during the appearance of DA, we can ask them kung ano na ba yung status ng liquidation ng mga GOCCs attached to them. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Binay. Very good point. Yeah, so pakisubmit na lang ho sa amin rin because during the budget deliberation, we can flag the individual departments as to their liquidation process.
We will prioritize that submission, Your Honor.
Chairman, just to pursue yung question ni Senator Marcos naman on the compensation and position classification system. And this CPCS is designed to make government competitive with the private sector and to enable government retain talent and retain the people that will enable government to perform its mandate. I understand that it's delayed, no? It's delayed for a very long time already. So finally, Chairman, when do we see the end of when do we see any developments on this CPCS? This is a very crucial document and I laud you for pursuing this. Really, it's one of the things that hampers government is the low compensation level, no? And the lack of analysis how to compete with the private sector because in effect, we're competing with the private sector for talent. So just give us a status report on CPCS. When do we see the finalization of the CPCS and when do we see the implementation of the CPCS?
And I have Commissioner Marites Doral update the committee on the CPC.
Yes, go ahead po.
Good morning. Good morning, Your Honor.
Commissioner, nag-echo kayo. I think you have another person in the room or...
Yan po, okay na po ba?
Much better, much better.
Okay po. As to the present status of our CPCS, in collaboration with our consultant, the Willis Tower, we already have the structure, the salary structure, and it is undergoing refinements and review and validation po of the data submitted by GOCCs. So in a month or in a week or two, we will present that to the GCG Commission and Bank for the final review and approval to be submitted to the Office of the President. Supposedly po kasi, yung ano namin, yung submission to the Office of the President, that should have been submitted early third quarter of this year. Kaso po, the GOCCs requested for extensions and then we have this pandemic, kaya po nag-extend na naman po yung extension. So we understand the GOCC's predicament on submitting the data. So yung sa timeline po namin ngayon, adjusted timeline, within this quarter po ang submission to the Office of the President and the implementation, hopefully kung ma-approve po kaagad, is January 2021. Yun po ang aming CPCS status.
And Commissioner, how do you plan to implement this? No? How do you plan to cascade this among all the GOCCs?
Sir, included po sa ano namin, sa timeline, communication with the GOCCs for them to explain the structure of the CPCS as well as po yung the structure as well as the mm, uh, the categorization, the structure, and how it should be implemented.
But Commissioner, how is it going to be implemented? For example, I'm a GOCC. How will this program affect me? How will this program guide me? And how is it going to be implemented? Is it going to be through an executive order? How do you plan
Opo,
to roll it out?
Ang initial po is through an executive order.
Okay. And then how
And then GCG will release guidelines through memorandum circulars as implementing rules dun sa executive order.
Okay. So if that will be submitted to Malacanang by January,
within the year po, within this quarter.
and then the executive order will come out January.
Sana po, hopefully, sir. Kasi we're targeting po the implementation will be for 2021.
Okay. All right. So we're quite interested in that program of GCG, again in line of making government competitive, and also a guiding document for salary standardization laws, no? Because the salary standardization is purely based on inflation, but
Yes.
not on competitiveness. So this can be a good tool to measure competitiveness of government insofar as talent and skills are concerned.
Yes, sir. I agree.
And lastly, Chairman, I saw in your utilization rate, mababa ang utilization rate ng GCG in 2019 as well as also in 2020. In 2019, 79%, and ngayon almost end of the year, it's 30%, no? So what happened? How come the utilization rate of GCD is not up to par?
It's more really on our implementation of IT projects, Your Honor. We see to it that it's properly procured, the proper system will be implemented with GCG. Because part really of our previous budget is more on the CO as to our IT projects. So that's really where for our recovery side of our data center really, and the network upgrade. We want to have a robust and agile IT system for GCG because we have the ICRS, which is too demanding as to the IT requirements.
But Chairman, this year, you've only utilized 30% of your budget. Now, how do you plan to catch up the 70% until end of the year?
I'm telling my team really is to ramp up the procurement process. So hopefully we could improve more the last quarter of this year, Your Honor.
So what you're saying is all of this non-utilization or non-obligation of your budget stemmed from the procurement process.
Yes. The ICT projects of the GCG.
But surely the procurement process can be planned ahead, no? Because ang laki Chairman. Ang laki and underutilized this year. It's close to 70%. So theoretically, you should have been at the 70% level of your procurement. And looking at your history in 2019, you only utilized 79%. So there's a history of quite low utilization rate.
There
So
are
what reforms are you doing for this year to reach 100% or close to 100%?
Really, when we start for this year, Your Honor, when we try to procure these IT projects, there's really some contributory factors that will happen in our procurement process. And the other thing also is undergoing is the enterprise ERP project. Still, the one is ongoing, the other one is still procurement. There are two processes to improve our further our HMD, the HR process of GCG. Hopefully, when all the system will be done, we could hopefully come up for more than 80% procure, higher than 80%, Your Honor.
Well, we will see each other again in plenary. So my advice to the commission is to hasten the utilization of the budget. We have 2 months to come up with reforms to improve the utilization of the budget. Again, your utilization only stands at 30% as of the second semester or second half of the year. So hopefully, Mr. Chair, that by December, tumaas at gumanda-ganda yung utilization ho natin, because this is definitely a sticking point insofar as budget is concerned. So my data is based on second semester. So I'm imploring on the commission to look at reforms to hasten the utilization, and by December we will have to look at this issue again. But I just want to flag the commission to improve its utilization rate.
The 30% year is for the first semester, and hopefully we will improve when the year end comes, when the various big projects and the IT will be awarded to the concerned bidders, Your Honor. This will improve our budget utilization rate.
All right, Chairman, that's again, I just want to reiterate, I'm flagging the department, the commission on the low utilization rate, and we will tackle that again during plenary. With that, I've completed my list. Senator Binay, Senator Marcos, any more questions to the commission? Kung wala naman po, for submission, Chair, these are the requests of our senators. Number 1, update on the IBC privatization by Senator Marcos. And then list of paper corporations, abolished corporations, liquidated corporations. The action plan to expedite liquidation. And then agency in charge of liquidation by Senator Binay. And status report on CPCS, an official status report.
We'll submit that, Your Honor.
Yes, please submit it to us no later by Wednesday of next week, a week after.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. With that, since we don't have any more questions, we'll be endorsing your budget to plenary, and we will again convene and get together again to answer further questions by the senators. That's why it's imperative to complete all of these requests, and then if there are any more updates, please furnish us, so that we'll be prepared to receive more queries from the other senators. So with that, we're endorsing your budget for plenary debates, and thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you, Senator Binay, Senator Marcos, Senator Bongo, for your time. Again, to the GCG headed by Chairman Dagpin, thank you very much also for your work. Seems to me that generally the functions of GCG is being felt. A case in point there will be PhilHealth. Again, no, paulit-ulit ako, but it's good that the PAS is functioning and bonuses were not given out for obvious reasons, no, of massive corruption and anomalies inside PhilHealth. But we can do more, and that's why I recommend and suggest to the Commission to look at other mechanisms to prevent this type of massive corruptions from happening inside our GOCCs. So thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much to the Commission.
Thank you, Your Honors.
So this budget hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Countess